Did you know Louisiana has a new law that makes it a crime to be within 25 feet of an on-duty police officer if ordered to stay away? Let's talk about it. Hey, I'm DC Paul and welcome back to Porch Poppin. Verite News investigative reporter Rich Webster is with us again to help us understand the new law known as Act 259 that just went into effect on August 1st. Glad to have you with us, Rich.
Thanks for having me.
So explain this new police buffer zone law and how does it work and why do state lawmakers support that?
So basically what it says is that people have to stay at least 25 feet away from officers when instructed by the officer to do so. It's a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 60 days in jail and a $500 fine. They passed a version of this last year, but because John Bel Edwards was the governor, he's a Democrat, he vetoed it. Now that Landry is governor, they brought it back and it passed. And supporters of it say that this is necessary to provide a level of safety around police officers while they're doing their jobs. They say that sort of the tenor of some people is more aggressive and sort of suspicious of police officers.
But of course, it's getting a lot of pushback from journalists and civil rights groups, right?
That's right. So they say that this is not about police officer safety, and it is about making it extremely hard for people to record potential police abuses. Because if you're 25 feet away, that makes it much more difficult to get something on audio and video.
Mm-hmm. Now, your story shows some examples of police abuse that might not have been possible if this law was in effect, correct?
That's right. I mean, the most famous example is in 2020 when George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis officer Derek Chauvin. There was a bystander maybe around 6 feet away, Darnella Frazier, and she was able to capture that in sort of grisly detail, and that proved sort of instrumental in his conviction, more than 22 years, I think. 2016, in Baton Rouge, there was protests following the killing of Alton Sterling, and we spoke to several journalists that day, and they captured what they saw as police abuses from within 4 to 6 feet. That resulted in a lawsuit, and there was more than a $1.1 million settlement. But they were saying, had this law been in effect at that point, they would not have been able to capture that evidence.
Have other states enacted laws like this?
Yeah, so the first one was in Arizona. This was in 2022, I believe. That was immediately overturned by the courts for being unconstitutional and a violation of the First Amendment. Then Indiana passed one, followed by Louisiana and Florida this year. Indiana's is being challenged legally. There are 2 lawsuits, and just last week, a group of media organizations, including Verite News, have filed suit to challenge the one in Louisiana.
So even though this has just gone into effect, we're already seeing a legal challenge to this Louisiana law. Thanks again for joining us, Rich. And if you want to read more about this and more of Rich's investigative journalism, do follow us at veritenews.org and across all social platforms.